Going on to you, Taurus. So you, Taurus, have the Two of Swords, uh, Ace of Cups, and the Queen of Pentacles. Um, so interesting. Okay. Interesting. So some of you family. So okay. So some of you Taurus may have like some you. Okay. Let me see. Some of you Taurus may have some problem with some family issues, or you may have family issues, right? Some sort of a problem with your family. Um, some things that your family members do that you don't particularly like, but you and them are actually learning how to work through it. The Ace of Swords, the Ace of Cups, and excuse me, the Two of Swords, the Ace of Cups, and the Queen of Pentacles. Um, some difficulties that actually popped up between you and people that can kind of be blank to some of the things that they do when they are around you that they don't necessarily think about. Now, Taurus is usually a zodiac sign that is usually kind of tight knit with their family, like this. And this is no different, you know. You're just going through a little bit of issues between yourselves and your family members. You know, families fight and disagree all the time. You know, it's nothing too wild to really worry about. But it gets you upset a little bit because you Taurus, you know, this person may not necessarily know that they do certain things that gets you upset because they're so accustomed to having you Taurus around. And so you Taurus actually bring it up to your family members. If you have siblings, if you have, you know, parents that are still around, you may bring it up to them that, hey, you know, why do they do this with you? And you know, at first they denied it, but they was like, you know what? I apologize. I'm sorry because maybe I do it. So what exactly is it that I do? And then you Taurus let them know what it is that they do. And so it could even be one with like your little ones. You could be the parent or the guardian in the situation. And then you do something that they may not like, that they bring up to you. But the point is that you Taurus actually are getting, you know, your family more situated to where y'all are learning to become more self-aware so that, you know, they understand what you're talking about, and they understand why, right? So so this is definitely one of those situations where it's good because your family members is amongst some of the few people in which you can actually work things out, right? You have the Five of Wands and the King of Cups. Your family members, the people that you were born with or the people that you created, right? Whether it's your immediate family or the family that you created, you're the parent or guardian, is amongst some of the best people to actually make things happen and to make things work out with. And the reason why is because of the fact that because they share genetics with you, they're actually the ones to most likely listen to what you have to say and work it out, right? As opposed to, you know, when you meet people, stuff like this, and it comes down to like people whom you don't necessarily share genetics with, they could be the hardest people to actually get through to because they, you know, sometimes egos excuse me can get involved, and you know they don't want to hear anything that you have to say, and then it comes down to a, well, you know, basically if you want this relationship to continue to work, you have to be okay with this because you know you're not like, you Taurus are not putting it to them in a way where you're running game, you know, you're trying to get them to change certain ways so that you can have things happen your way. It's a fair assessment that you're making about them, that you're trying to show them about themselves, and they're not necessarily listening to what you have to say. But these people are listening to what you Taurus have to say. And the Knight of Wands and the Five of Pentacles speaks to how you Taurus basically, um, they're listening to it. And the Five of Pentacles is about them figuring out how is it that they can learn, change, grow, right? It's not all as bad as it is displayed on the cards. It's just that this person may have also let you, Taurus, know, right, that you may be related to, that you do certain things as well. So the two of you may have discussed, some things that the two of you do that the both of you don't like about each other, that you wish that the two of you wouldn't do. And the two of you listened to what y'all had to say, and you, Taurus, was like, okay, cool. And they said, okay, cool. So y'all agree to essentially change for the betterment of that. Sometimes, it comes down to maybe you don't necessarily change, but the two of you actually come to a conclusion where, you know, you don't have to like everything about the person. And so because you don't have to like everything about the person, you Taurus are okay with that, and they're okay with you. Anyway, the Knight of Swords and the Emperor, right, represents how, and again, this actually made you feel kind of good, because this speaks wonders about how, the differences between people who can actually learn to disagree with one another and still come back to being family or close, and people who just, have huge egos, who, try to make it seem like they care so much about you, Taurus. But any little thing that you, Taurus, don't like about them, any little thing, maybe you don't necessarily like how it is that they tie their shoes, something that, they're supposed to be able to actually live with. And then here they go, just having a fit, going off in rage. They can't take it. And so you Taurus feel good about this. Actually, this is actually a win, and the reason why is because it speaks to the differences that you Taurus have had, how it is that you can disagree with family members, and y'all are still family at the end of the day. That doesn't change. And then how it is that, like, sometimes, you can just be closer with some people than others, right? You could go speak to people whom you're not genetically related to, and their mentality is, well, I don't have to put up with this from you. But the problem, though, is that if they expect to be with you, Taurus, then how exactly are they going to, really be with you if they can't even, deal with some of the things that you Taurus do, or, what you Taurus are about? Because we all have things about ourselves that is annoying, and, we have to learn to get over. We have to look past and be like, do I like this? No, but this person is too valuable to me, so whatever, it is what it is, right? Whatever, right? We all have those things. We all have those things. The way that I talk in falsetto sometimes, I'm sure that could be annoying to some people. You know what I'm saying? But, it is what it is. And the thing about it is that that's what the Emperor, excuse me, that's what the Knight of Swords, the Emperor, and the Two of Pentacles, right, represents. Like, how you Taurus, so this just helps you Taurus be able to identify when you're going to be with someone even easier. Because if a person can't even be okay with, some of the small things, and get over the small things, right? Don't necessarily make things so, like, more worse than what they actually are. Don't make mountains out of molehills, big scenarios out of small little things and stuff like this that truly are small, you know, um, that don't really break or make relationships, right? Um, why is it like you can do that for other people? Why is it that others can't do it for you? And part of the reason why is because they want perfection, you know? They're looking for Instagrams, social media, internet perfection, and that doesn't exist. And not only it exist, but it'll actually have you more worse off than if you just live your life, right? And a lot of you Taurus are learning that like your life is great. Your life is great. Get off the internet a little bit more. That's the mentality that a lot of you Taurus are coming to your own conclusions about like, you know, the internet is a wild place, as to where if you allow the internet to really um influence you, you'll be making terrible decisions. Right. You know, you Taurus are coming to the realization your life has been pretty good. Your life is great. And that, potentially part of what makes other people goofy around you is they may be caught up in the social media thing. Looking at you, Taurus, like, okay, why aren't you Taurus perfect? But they're not perfect. you know but you Taurus are having an amazing time. It just This reading just was impactful because, and it's random, right? For me it is, but it's not in the bigger scheme of things, because this reading was to really go to show you that, if a person cares about you, if it's not really, if the disagreements that you and another person have does not really come from a place where things need to change, otherwise this breaks the relationship. If a person really cares about you, they will be able to get over this. And that it really goes to show you, Taurus, that some people are not loyal because they will allow something insignificant to break up the relationship the of the connection that the two of you have with each other, just because they don't find it to be perfect or whatever. And nothing is perfect. The laws of 3D, third density, is if you're going to come into this physical reality, automatically it's flawed. Automatically, no exceptions, because in order for it to exist, it has to have a flaw for it to physically manifest. So it's not going to come into the third density without it having a flaw. That's just one of the pillars of this reality. So, you know, and that's the clear difference. That's the clear difference among many differences between, like, when you have people that care about you, Taurus, versus people who, what I'm saying, who haven't got their stuff worked out yet. And I'm not saying that they need to have it all together, but what I am saying is, if they're going to be on your team, then have them be on your team. They can't be flip flopping and doing all this stuff all the time. So let's clarify some cards. Let's clarify the Emperor. You have the Leap of Faith, Ten of Gabriel, King of Gabriel, Eight of Ariel, Three of Gabriel, right? So that's my point, right? The Leap of Faith, the Ten of Gabriel, and the King of Gabriel. Again, if a person cares about you, they will be able to, unless it breaks the foundation of the relationship, they should be able to actually work things out with you, right? Um, sometimes things aren't, sometimes you can't work things out, right? A person is who they are, right? There's some things that I don't particularly like about my siblings, and there's some things that I'm sure, more than a couple of things, that they don't like about me. Yet and still, I don't love my siblings I don't love my family members any less. You know. It is what it is. I don't love my family members any less. My brothers they're still my brothers. My sister is still my sister. I don't love them any less. So um um And so because of that, that's the same kind of lesson that you Taurus are learning. It don't matter if it's romantic or if it's familial. If a person that cares about you, they should have a little bit more patience with you, right? You know, you're not perfect. And the leap of faith, the 10 of Gabriel and the King of Gabriel, it speaks to just that, right? Like you're gonna look at a person very weird, like very weirdly, or you're gonna perceive them differently if they need you to be perfect, because you can't do that, nor are you promising that. And see, the thing is that the 8 of Ariel and the 3 of Gabriel for you Taurus, it speaks to how you Taurus can be as best as you possibly can. But if a person can't get over certain things, right, the way that family members can, I mean, can you really consider them your family, right? The answer is no. You won't consider them a part of the family, and therefore you will actually move forward and get to know other people. So it's a very valid lesson that you Taurus learn, that people that care about you, they don't tolerate every single thing from you, but they love you though. You know what I mean? Obviously, they don't tolerate every single thing, but they do love you. And them disliking, the stupid, goofy stuff that people sometimes on the internet break up their relationships for. Those people, the dysfunction has taken a hold. The dysfunction has taken hold of them, but not you, Taurus. You Taurus are gonna remain loyal, and you just want someone to be loyal to you. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the video. I hope y'all got the analogy. I hope y'all got the basis of this reading. That this was you looking at how your family is, and you're comparing the fact that your family, if a person is going to be in a relationship with you, they need to be able to not look at you Taurus like y'all need to be perfect in order to be with them. And that, if they care about you, if they care about you, if they see you Taurus not just as beautiful people, but as a human being, and they understand that you have flaws and everything like that, as long as it's not a deal breaker for a relationship, they should be able to look past your faults and your follies. That's it. Smash it. I got 20,439 subscribers. Smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, hit the notification bell, set that notification bell to all so you can be notified whenever I drop my videos.